Carol Burnett, the woman adored across America for her warm smile and effortless humor, was long regarded as a symbol of kindness and grace in Hollywood. For decades, she carefully maintained a calm, scandal-free image, leading the public to believe she had never been touched by bitterness or conflict. Yet in her early 90s, during a rare interview with Rolling Stone, Carol Burnett shocked audiences by openly speaking for the first time about the men she could never tolerate throughout her life. These were not strangers, but individuals who once played significant roles in both her career and her personal world. Some betrayed her trust through infidelity, while others dragged her into painful disputes over shared assets. There were also those who used their power to quietly push her out of major programs like Saturday Night Live for many years. Most disturbingly, one younger man publicly mocked her image in a tasteless sketch, forcing Carol to take legal action to defend her dignity. Among all these wounds, the most painful involved Harvey Korman, once her closest and most trusted co-star, yet also the source of a fierce behind-the-scenes conflict. During the golden age of 1970s television, when the Carol Burnett Show dominated the airwaves, Carol was the heart of the program, while Harvey served as the bridge that carried laughter to millions of homes. However, behind the spotlight and thunderous applause, their long-standing friendship slowly began to fracture. By 1974, as the show entered its 7th season with ratings at an all-time high, a renewed 3-year contract from CBS, and a 4th Emmy win for the team, the relationship between Carol Burnett and Harvey Korman had reached a breaking point that could no longer be repaired. Years later, costume designer Bob Mackie revealed that Korman had become increasingly irritable behind the scenes, quick-tempered and distant, often avoiding Carol backstage. An unspoken tension slowly built, and many believed Korman felt overshadowed, fearing that Burnett's growing fame had eclipsed his own success. The pressure finally erupted one April afternoon at Studio 33 in Television City, Los Angeles. The crew was rehearsing an episode featuring guest singer Petula Clark, who had just arrived from London. During one of Korman's scenes, a lighting error left his face in shadow. He abruptly stopped, threw his script to the floor, and shouted in frustration that after all those years, no one could get it right. The studio froze. Director Dave Powers tried to calm him, but Korman continued, bitterly adding that even Carol hadn't noticed. The comment cut deeply. Known for her calm authority and kindness, Burnett stood from her seat in the audience and walked onto the stage. Without raising her voice, she stated firmly that she had had enough and that if Korman could not respect everyone there, he did not need to be there. The studio fell into complete silence, so intense it felt as though a microphone had dropped. Korman stared at her for a moment, then walked off the set. No one followed. That afternoon, a cameraman recalled seeing Burnett sitting alone for more than 30 minutes, staring at Korman's empty chair and quietly saying she never wanted it to end that way, but he had gone too far. Hours later, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner ran the headline announcing that Harvey Korman had left the Carol Burnett Show during rehearsal. CBS offered no comment, but rumors spread quickly. Variety reported that Burnett had finally lost patience after months of tension. For 3 days, Hollywood buzzed non-stop. Burnett's close friend Vicki Lawrence tried to contact Korman, but he remained silent, while Carol continued filming and never mentioned his name. A crew member later described Burnett as calm but visibly exhausted. Then, on Wednesday morning, CBS received a phone call from Korman. Speaking softly, he asked to speak with Carol. When she answered, his voice shook as he admitted he was wrong and wanted to come back. The next day, Korman appeared at the morning meeting and apologized to the crew before turning to Carol and admitting he had forgotten why he started. Burnett smiled gently, stepped forward, and hugged him. The studio erupted in applause, yet everyone present could sense that something between them had changed forever. Korman remained with the Carol Burnett Show until 1977, then left quietly. Although Burnett stayed in contact with him, their friendship never fully healed. In a 1983 interview with Entertainment Tonight, when asked about Korman, she smiled gently and remarked that Harvey made her laugh more than anyone, yet also caused her the greatest headaches. The incident, later known as the Studio 33 blow-up, became one of CBS's most talked-about backstage legends, a lasting reminder of how fragile creative partnerships can be when ego and pressure collide. After that chapter, Burnett emerged more disciplined and emotionally guarded, determined not to let personal feelings interfere with her work. Yet the turmoil in her life was far from over. Behind the extraordinary success of The Carol Burnett Show, a program that reshaped television history, another quiet unraveling was taking place: her marriage. Carol Burnett and her husband Joe Hamilton were once celebrated as CBS's golden couple, but over time, laughter gave way to silence and heartache. They met in 1960 when Burnett was a rising performer on The Gary Moore Show. Hamilton, 10 years her senior, was already an established producer with credits on The Steve Allen Show and The Colgate Comedy Hour. They met during a CBS taping in New York, and Burnett later recalled that the way he looked at her made her feel truly seen. 3 years later, they married in a small California ceremony attended only by close friends. When The Carol Burnett Show debuted in 1967, Hamilton stepped in as producer, mentor, and creative partner. For several years, they worked in perfect balance. Burnett brought warmth and emotion, while Hamilton imposed structure and control. But success began to strain their bond. By 1975, costume designer Bob Mackie noted that Hamilton had become increasingly controlling, insisting on approving guest lists and scripts before Burnett even saw them. During one meeting, he pushed to remove emotional moments and focus solely on comedy. Burnett objected, insisting that audiences needed both heart and humor. That disagreement marked the beginning of a growing creative and personal distance. As work pressures mounted, Hamilton spent less time at home. At first, Burnett believed it was simply new projects, but rumors soon followed. In August 1979, TV Guide hinted at a veteran producer involved in a secret relationship inside a Los Angeles editing suite. No names were mentioned, yet insiders understood. Crew members frequently saw Hamilton with a young CBS editor at a restaurant near the studio. Burnett did not confront him immediately, but close friend Vicki Lawrence later said Carol broke down after overhearing colleagues discussing Joe's overly close behavior. The final blow came in 1982. While reviewing contracts, Burnett's lawyer discovered that Hamilton had formed Hamilton Productions in Beverly Hills, registering spin-off projects from The Carol Burnett Show under his own name. One of them, Mama's Family, was based on a Burnett sketch, yet listed without her ownership credit. Burnett confronted him at their CBS office, asking whether it was fair to turn what they had built together into something solely his. Hamilton replied coldly that it was business, not emotion. That moment ended everything. On March 3, 1983, Carol Burnett filed for divorce in Los Angeles County Court. The Los Angeles Times later reported the split, but behind the headline lay one of Hollywood's most complex asset battles. Hamilton demanded full production rights, including profits from The Carol Burnett Show and its related projects, while Burnett fought to retain her name and half of the earnings. The divorce trial dragged on for nearly a year, drawing daily attention from reporters at People, Variety, and USA Today. Burnett remained composed throughout the proceedings, while Hamilton appeared visibly worn down. They barely spoke to one another. In June 1984, the court ruled that Burnett would retain the rights to the show's name, while Hamilton would receive 40% of the syndication profits. When asked how she felt, Burnett offered a faint smile and said they had been the perfect team until he forgot she was more than just a partner. The quote landed on the cover of People magazine and echoed across talk shows nationwide. After the divorce, Burnett severed all ties with Hamilton's productions, and his later projects never reached the success they once had. Hamilton died of heart disease in 1991. Burnett did not attend the funeral but sent white flowers with a note that read, "I wish you peace, Joe. As for me, I'll keep going." Years later, during an interview at the Paley Center for Media, she reflected quietly that Joe taught her an important lesson. In show business, love alone is never enough. You also need trust. Another name on Burnett's list was Marlon Brando. Some Hollywood stories sound like rumors until they turn out to be true, and one of the strangest involved America's Queen of Comedy and the actor who had just stunned the world with The Godfather. One quiet summer night in July 1972, as Los Angeles slept, the phone rang at Burnett's home in Coldwater Canyon at 3 a.m. The housekeeper woke her, assuming it was a studio emergency. Half asleep, Burnett answered and froze when a deep voice said it was Marlon Brando. At first, she thought it was a prank, until he mentioned watching a rerun of The Carol Burnett Show. She thanked him politely, expecting the call to end, but it didn't. For more than 30 minutes, Brando spoke about acting, Hollywood, and his admiration for her work, saying television needed more women like her. As his tone softened and his comments became too personal, Burnett realized she was no longer speaking to a screen legend, but to a man crossing a line. Calm but firm, she told him it was late and she had an early call, then hung up. By morning, Hollywood was buzzing. The Hollywood Reporter ran a headline about Brando's late-night call, followed by similar stories in the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner. Gossip columnists claimed the conversation lasted over an hour and that Brando sounded infatuated. CBS issued a brief statement calling the call personal, but Burnett was furious. She asked her PR team to shut down the rumors, yet they only grew. An anonymous source even claimed Brando tried calling again days later, but Burnett refused to answer. According to Vicki Lawrence, Carol felt humiliated and angry, afraid the public would twist the story. Over lunch with a close friend, Burnett admitted that Brando had crossed a line and that she couldn't believe someone of his stature thought such a call was acceptable. From that moment on, she avoided him completely. At public events, she made sure they were never photographed together. When Brando unexpectedly appeared at the 1974 AFI Awards, she turned away instantly. Insiders later revealed that her PR schedules quietly noted she would not attend any event where Brando was present. Brando never addressed the situation publicly, though acquaintances claimed he once dismissed it as just a conversation, a remark that only reinforced his reputation for arrogance. For Burnett, the incident went beyond personal offense. It became a lasting lesson about boundaries, respect, and trust in an industry where power too often blurs the line between admiration and entitlement. From that night on, Carol Burnett became noticeably more private and guarded. A former crew member later recalled that she never answered phone calls after midnight again, not even from CBS. Yet an even more painful blow was still ahead, this time not a private slight, but a public humiliation in front of Hollywood's elite. The moment came in 1968, at the height of Hollywood glamour, champagne, and oversized egos. The Carol Burnett Show had just become a national sensation, dominating the Emmys and turning Carol into one of television's brightest stars. That same year, Cary Grant, the embodiment of classic Hollywood elegance, was honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award by the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. Two icons from different generations were expected to exchange polite admiration. Instead, one careless remark created a rift that would never fully heal. The gala at the Beverly Hilton's International Ballroom was packed with legends, Lucille Ball, Gregory Peck, Elizabeth Taylor, and Jack Lemmon among them. Burnett arrived radiant in a deep red Bob Mackie gown. After the ceremony, she approached Grant's table with a champagne glass, intending to congratulate him. Film critic Roger Ebert later wrote that the mood shifted instantly as she drew near. A director beside Grant tried to ease the moment, remarking that the whole country loved Carol's show. Grant responded with a faint smirk, dismissing it as overacted arm-waving and facial expressions, questioning why anyone enjoyed such humor. The comment landed heavily in the room. Some guests laughed uncomfortably, others fell silent. Burnett maintained her composure and replied calmly that perhaps people preferred laughing with real people rather than perfection. The table went quiet. She nodded politely and walked away, leaving Grant frozen behind a tight smile. Hollywood remembered. 2 days later, the Los Angeles Times ran a brief item describing a frosty encounter between the two stars, hinting at Grant's disdain for Burnett's down-to-earth comedy. The story spread quickly. While some defended Grant as joking, television audiences, especially women, were outraged. CBS responded with a carefully worded statement praising Burnett's humor as humane, intelligent, and rooted in empathy. Though subtle, the message was unmistakable. Burnett stayed silent, but Grant worsened the situation. In a later Variety interview, he spoke of preferring refined, European-style humor and criticized modern television for trying too hard to be funny. He never named Burnett, but the implication was clear. Rumors soon circulated that Grant had privately told her she stripped comedy of its elegance. Viewer mail to CBS surged, overwhelmingly in Carol's support. Burnett never responded publicly. She simply kept working. That season, her show reached its highest ratings yet, and she invited Lucille Ball to guest star in a special episode. Lucille later said Carol believed the best response was simply staying on television. Still, Burnett never forgot that night. When offered a co-starring role with Grant in a 1970 musical, she politely declined. A friend later shared that Carol had said she would not work with someone who looked down on women's laughter. Grant never apologized, but years later, his biography noted that he once admitted Carol's intelligence and strength made him uneasy. In the end, his disdain only strengthened her resolve. She continued to play ordinary women, housewives, maids, seamstresses, characters with simple lives and generous hearts. Within just a few years, she won 3 Emmys in a row, and The Carol Burnett Show was officially recognized as one of TV Guide's classic American television programs. From that period, Burnett drew a lesson she would live by. There was no need to argue when success could speak louder than words. As her fame kept rising, however, it also began to unsettle certain powerful figures in the industry. One of them was Lorne Michaels. For years, Burnett believed he dismissed women and intentionally kept her away from Saturday Night Live. In the history of American television, her absence from the show remains one of its most puzzling mysteries. For nearly 5 decades, Carol Burnett, the woman who helped pave the way for female-led comedy, was never invited to host SNL. Given her influence and popularity, many viewed this as a deliberate snub. To understand why, one must return to 1975, when Saturday Night Live first aired live from Studio 8H at Rockefeller Plaza. At the time, The Carol Burnett Show was in its 8th season on CBS and remained the highest-rated variety program in the country. Burnett's comedy was warm, emotional, and character-driven, while Michaels was crafting a new style. Sharp, edgy, and politically charged. Early critics, including Harriet Van Horn of the New York Post, suggested Burnett as an ideal host who could connect 2 generations of comedy. What seemed like a harmless idea quietly marked the beginning of decades of silence. Inside NBC, Burnett's name reportedly surfaced during discussions for SNL's 2nd season in 1976, but Michaels allegedly dismissed it, saying she didn't fit the show's spirit. According to Live from New York, published in 2002, one editor recalled Michaels calling Burnett the face of old television while insisting the show was doing something entirely new. That attitude fueled years of speculation. In 1981, journalist Tom Shales wrote in the Washington Post that Burnett had shown interest in hosting multiple times but never received a reply. The article triggered public backlash, with hundreds of viewers writing to NBC demanding answers. The network responded with a vague statement claiming hosts were chosen based on each season's tone, but few found it convincing. In reality, Burnett never publicly asked to host, though insiders said she felt quietly dismissed. When asked about it years later on Larry King Live, Burnett smiled gently and remarked that perhaps she simply wasn't edgy enough. Those who worked with Michaels described him as rigidly protective of SNL's identity. Young, ironic, and rebellious, the opposite of Burnett's human, empathetic humor. A former editor told Rolling Stone in 1990 that Michaels even rejected a proposal to include Burnett in the show's 10th anniversary special, saying she wasn't their kind of comedy. The distance between them never thawed. In 1991, at a Television Academy event in Los Angeles, both were scheduled to appear. Journalist Bill Carter later noted that Burnett received a standing ovation, while moments later, as Michaels took the stage, she remained seated, offering only a faint smile. The moment aired on Entertainment Tonight and was quickly labeled the coldest look in Hollywood. The story might have faded until 2023, when NBC produced Carol Burnett, 90 Years of Laughter and Love. Asked by The Hollywood Reporter whether she regretted never hosting SNL, Burnett smiled kindly and replied that they didn't need her, and she didn't need them either. That single sentence ended nearly 50 years of silence. Within a day, the hashtag #InviteCarol to SNL went viral, with fans demanding the network finally correct the past. Later, at the Paley Center for Media, Burnett reflected that kindness carries its own kind of power. After that, she chose to appear less frequently on modern television, protecting the timeless image she had built. Still, fate had one more unexpected turn waiting for her.